What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It's October 19th of 2022. We did have a pullback in the market. Let's take a look. Let's dive in. The trend model remained at a +3 though, so remain calm. The S&P 500 finished down 0.71%. Our NASDAQ QQQ finished down 0.36%. Our IWM small caps, which have been a relative leader, were actually a laggard today. They were down 1.7%. Our dogs of the Dow were down a smidge, down 0.37%. Our ARK Innovation ETF down 4.3%. And TLT, which is the long bond ETF, got crucified again, down 1.82%. I see a headline crossing the wire. Right now, the Tesla earnings call is ongoing. It says, Musk, I once said on the earnings call that Tesla could be worth more than Apple. Apple was worth $700 billion then. Tesla is now worth even $700 billion, even with this market. So who knows? That's pretty much fluff, but whatever. So yeah, we had those downward moves in the indices. I believe this was catalyzed by some hotter than expected inflation data out of the United Kingdom. And to be honest, is that a big surprise? No, things have been a mess in the UK. We had the pension system blowing up, the flash crash of the currency. We've known the inflation was high. And even in the United States, we just got hotter than expected inflation prints. So why would the UK not be the same? But nonetheless, we got a pullback in the market. Most indices closed towards the middle end of their day's range. Volatility did advance in a lot of these indices. For example, the VIX was only up 0.85%. Not really a big, spike higher in vol. Percentage advancers, we had 22% in the small caps. We had 25.4% up volume. And the trend model remains at a +3 reading. Today's economic data, we did get some housing. That was about it. Housing starts came in a little bit lighter than expected at a negative 8.1% month-over-month reading. With the higher mortgage rates, it does not surprise me. And of course, we had some Fed speakers. The Fed speakers have been absolutely dreadful. They keep just saying the same thing. Every time the market rallies, it's like, all right, guys, we can't pause just yet. And they just keep saying that. Keeps crossing the wires. In terms of today's news, this is our Pristine Capital Earnings Insight. We share this in our earnings channel within Discord for all the big releases. And you can see Tesla, this is like the past, maybe 20 earnings reports. We have the one-day price reactions. The best reaction was plus 17.67%. Worst reaction, negative 13.61%. And for this report, for whatever reason, the market makers only priced in an implied move of 8.77%. That might have something to do with the fact that Tesla did do a pre-release of their deliveries. So I'm sure everyone just put two and two together and they could kind of piece together the earnings. Tesla did report. They had Q3 adjusted EPS of $1.05, beat a $1 estimate. Sales of $21.45 billion, missed a $21.96 billion estimate. It says Tesla expects to achieve 50% average annual growth in vehicle deliveries. And so far, the stock's not doing a whole lot. The earnings call is ongoing as we speak. So we'll definitely take a peek at Tesla, see what it's doing. VIX Futures term structure, it is still inverted, which is a problem. Finviz Heat Map. Energy was our big leader for today. Mixed action in the world of tech. We had Apple basically flat, Google down, Amazon down, Tesla up a bit. And we had Netflix, which just reported earnings, was up 13.09% today. Sectors. Energy, the XLE is in our top momentum slot. And then the number 2 momentum slot, I do not like this at all. The aerospace and defense ETF finished positive today, and that's not good. We got the news about, perhaps China invading Taiwan earlier than we thought. And I mean, we just keep poking them. We're poking the bear, team. Our U.S. administration banned exports of semiconductors to China. Basically just saying like, hey, we think they could be a threat, so we're just going to ban exports to them. Which to me is like insane. Like it's just, I just find that very extreme. And I guess we're just assuming China's not going to retaliate. There's many ways they could retaliate against us. I mean, they could just be like, you know what, guys? No more iPhones in China. Or, no more Teslas in China or whatever it might be. So I just find like, it's kind of crazy. Like, this admin, without getting too political, originally I thought they were going to be like super conservative and super just like status quo, but they're a lot more like aggressive and just doing things that I'm like, oh man, hope this goes well. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Also, big news, MSOS, the cannabis ETF, finished at 1.75% to the upside. We got some news, Green Thumb Industries, which I have a large holding in. It's like one of the only individual stocks that I own. I listen to every earnings report. I just love the company. And they actually just announced a partnership with it's like a chain of gas stations. And you're going to be able to buy cannabis at the gas station, which sounds like not a big deal, right? But there is a stigma around cannabis. But it kind of reminds me of like the prohibition of alcohol, where at one point it was illegal. Everyone thought, oh my gosh, this is crazy, buying alcohol. Like, there's no way, it's illegal, whatever. Cannabis is kind of the same, where right now there's like a big stigma. But as it becomes more mainstream, you can get it in more places, then I think that stigma will go away. I think some of these cannabis companies will really flourish. So yeah, that space was up today. KWeb, Chinese tech, was down 6.92%. Really got hit very hard. Style factors, momentum was up 0.11%. Pretty much everything else was down on the session, with the worst performer being the small cap value ETF, down 1.55%. In terms of options trades, I closed out my TLT November 18th 109 calls for 15 cents, paid 370. This was one of my worst trades of the year, to be honest. TLT, it's been on this like runaway death spiral, and it was down so much, and those are like the famous last words, like it was so oversold. I bought those call options, and we went from like, oh my gosh, this is like a 5 standard deviation move in the treasuries, to like, okay, now it's like a 10 standard deviation move. And I think moral of the story is just like, when something unprecedented is happening, it's you don't want to get out in front of it. So that was definitely a big mistake that I made. And honestly, I'm happy to just like be done with that trade. That was like just garbage. I did also take some long ARK Innovation ETF, October 21st, 35 strike calls for 99 cents. And this is really just in case some investors decide to buy the dip in Tesla tomorrow. So let's check out the markets, and we'll check out how Tesla's doing as well. So let's see, S&P 500. I actually like what happened today. So remember, the 5-day EMA, which is this green line, it's like a magnet for price. The market tags the 5-day EMA almost every single day. So I know there's this desire for most retail traders, like, if I'm bullish, like I want the market to go up just every single day. Like, let's get like 5 in a row, 6 in a row. Sometimes that happens. That's actually very rare. And the further away you get from that 5-day EMA, the more you can have a really harsh, snapback sell-off. So what I like is that by essentially going sideways and having a pullback, we undercut the 20 SMA, but then we closed back above it. And this 5-day EMA is going to catch up to price and could potentially set up the next leg higher. So we'll see what happens, but overall I think it was pretty good that we held those levels despite the dollar index having a ramp today. So we got that news, oh my gosh, UK is a disaster, the inflation's higher, and the dollar index just took off to the upside. What we would like to see is another lower high. So long as we make a lower high, that is fantastic news, par for the course. Market can keep rallying. And then also, in addition to this, treasuries just got demolished. Look at this. 10-year treasury future making a new low, and the 30-year bond future also making a new low. So overall, I'd say the equities handled this pretty well, because those are definitely some big headwinds. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ closed below the 20-day SMA, held above the 5 EMA, and very similar pattern to the S&P. Russell 2000. This one got hit pretty hard today, but it's still above the 20 SMA, and we're still inside of this monthly value, whereas the Russell 2000 is definitely a bit ahead of the game. When the Dow Jones, with some exposure to energy, really stood out today, and we're above even the 5-day EMA, looking pretty good for the Dow Jones. Now let's take a look. Netflix was the big earnings mover today, up 13.09%, not too shabby. And it looks like we reached up to a VPOC up at about $280. And from there we got some sellers, but not very bad in terms of the reaction. Now let's see. We have the Tesla earnings call. Let's check out what is happening, team. Remember, the market maker implied move was plus or minus 8.77%. Now let's see what it's doing in the after hours. You can see we had a pretty big shakeout candle right when it reported. Now we're trading inside of the weekly value area. We're at about $214.15. That is about, what is that, a 3% loss in the after hours? Which, to be honest, like a 3% move for a mega cap tech stock is just par for the course. That's really like a no move. And really the big winners are the premium sellers for this stock. That's essentially a non-reaction for the earnings report. So we'll have to see what happens for tomorrow's session. Do some dip buyers come in and support Tesla? We kind of need them to, because I don't really see us having like this beautiful dynamic market if Tesla is just like cascading down to 200 and then down to 150 and just in a death spiral like the treasuries. So I think it's going to be important to watch Tesla for tomorrow's session. That being said, keep your eye on Tesla tomorrow, keep your eye on the dollar index and the bonds. I think if you watch those three things, you're going to have a pretty good handle on the session. With that being said, that about does it for today's market recap video. Make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That really supports us. And we'll see you all tomorrow.